Hi, I'm Ryan Blackwell and this is Sasha Binger and we are the co-founders of Beyond Photography.
And today we are joined by Gijs Stork, the founder of Queerness. Gijs, would you like to introduce yourself maybe a little bit?
Yes, I'm Gijs Stork and I live in Amsterdam and I'm the organizer, or what I explained to you earlier, more the facilitator of Queerness, which is a project from the Free Layers Foundation. I started off as being a curator. I do many projects, and I think what brings them together is that I'm always interested. I studied art history. I'm always interested not in the final product, but I'm interested in the process, which can be read as the storytelling of something, and like something that's between you and the artwork, or you and the conversation, or you and whatever happens. So that's sort of the main thing that goes through all the projects, and where my interest is in, like, what's the process, what's happening, not the final result, but where are you, where you're going.
I think it is really interesting, like how much breadth there is in the kind of work that you do. It's kind of like, it is queer currents, but it's so intersectional and vast. And we were talking about this a little bit just before we started, but you said that you've moved from identifying as a curator to a facilitator.
Yes.
And it'd be good if you could kind of tell us more about what brought you to that conclusion. Well, it would be interesting if you could tell us what brought you to that conclusion.
Yes.
And what that kind of means for the work that you are doing today.
So maybe let's start by saying how Queer Currents, how it happened. So I was, I'm participating in, like, we always have our own boat, but we have a boat with a message. So, and it's not a commercial boat, so we always try to do something more than a balloon and a t-shirt during Pride. And then I slowly started to see that there was actually not that much happening in culture. Like, so that you have the art and culture committee, but for me, I was missing, like, a part of my art world. They were not participating. So they were in, like, especially queer artists or gay artists or lesbian artists, or were not participating in during Pride. So I thought it was we were missing something in Amsterdam. So I started, like, 6 years ago, making queer or LGBT community exhibitions, just an exhibition during Pride. And then more and more people came to me and said, well, but I'm a spoken word artist, I'm doing a performance, can we join, can we do something together? So I think 4 years ago I came up with the idea I have to organize a sort of festival thing. And 3 years ago we did the first Queer Currents, which was 50 days, 15 days.
That was about time.
I don't remember why we came up with 15 days, but it was 15 days. And 15 days, 15 locations throughout the whole city, 50 queer subjects. And so we did it the first year, and it was very interesting because every time we had a totally different audience. So we sort of tuned in to the niches of all this variation of queer people, and some, especially young people, came up to me and said, well, this is fantastic because finally there's something for me, because they don't recognize themselves in this canal parade, they don't recognize them in big gay fetish parties, so they were more interested in sort of being there, listening to something, having maybe a small debate. So that made it for me, like, really special to continue, because I could see that there are still so many groups that don't recognize themselves in this huge gay pride thing. So we continued, and we did it last year during pandemic again. Last year the city of Amsterdam asked all the people who got money for their events from the diversity department to make alliances, because the idea was make an alliance with a group of people you want to work with and make an application. But it ended up that everybody was calling everybody, do you want to work with me, do you want to work with me? And we could see the situation happening, especially with the marginalized groups, that there, of course, there will be a group of like older organizations who know how to apply, who know to write something, that they would make the most chance. So what we did, we said, well, stop, let's bring everybody together. And we ended up with 22 organizations, which is amazing because, of course, everybody's coming from everywhere. Different history, different pain, but we brought it together and we make one big theory of change, which is based on literally putting the last mile first. Constantly address the people who were always at the end of the line, and now put them forward. And that's how we come to this awareness of me to be not a curator anymore, but which I was, but I also wasn't. So I was always a sort of facilitator, but I see my role now much more as a facilitator, creating a space, making a safe space, making it okay, listening to everybody, trying to solve their problems. And the idea is that through doing this slowly, you can give or create for marginalized groups more awareness, more self-awareness, feeling more secure, and make them in the end more visible to a bigger audience.
Yeah.
So that's the idea of this VOC, Fear of Change. Yeah. It's a long story.
No, but I think it's really interesting because you're kind of like in like the work that you do, which is exploring so many queer topics, as you said, you've also redefined like your own role in that and understanding like, hang on a second, I'm the person who's got all of this experience and knowledge of the art world, and I can provide all of that to these people who have something to say, rather than say it on their behalf. I think is so powerful and so needed.
Important.
And actually it's really similar to what we've had with this exhibition, because we've really had lots and lots of conversations about how when we work with people, we're just navigating what they are saying. So it's like, what is it that you want to say? Okay, well, we don't think maybe this is saying that quite yet, so why don't we try it like this? And helping them to say it themselves, rather than us just say, here's what the entire queer community looks like from our perspective, which we know that we can't do that. And that's one thing that's been so exciting for us in this 2 days of setting up, is like allowing change and allowing things to move around so that everybody can really hit home what they are trying to say in this kind of collective, this exhibition collective. So I think we definitely feel that too.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's interesting what you said with, because this is actually how we came also to the concept of this exhibition, is not everyone identifies with this party pride. And I think, especially outside of the queer community, when people think of pride, they think of, you know, canal pride and dancing and drinking. It's like pride becomes this sensationalized part where actually people don't remind themselves of why pride is. Why we're doing pride.
It's still because I said that we always also have a boat, which is and being on this boat. It's a boat everybody pays on the boat, so together we have a small budget and we can do whatever we want to do with the budget, so that there's no organization, nobody's involved, which makes it very interesting because we can choose. And but being on the boat, I see why it's so necessary. So you can be an outsider and say, well, there are only naked gays, white gays dancing on a boat. No, they're everywhere, standing very young children with their mothers or fathers, and cheering and being probably the only day in their life of this year that they feel free, like 14, 15-year-old boys, girls, or whatever in between. And then I say, well, only for this person, I'm so happy that we can do this. So, and of course, let's celebrate.
Yes.
There's always a celebrate. Also, we're here, and that's also what it feels like. Sometimes it feels like it's a one day, and that's also what I want to do with Queer Currents, to change it from one day to 15 days. I always feel like the day after Canal Pride, you already see at H&M or Zara, they're taking off the posters, and like the Bijenkorf is taking off their flags, and okay, we're not here anymore, we're still here. And yeah.
And I think that's why it's so important to do like what we are doing and what you are doing is about, you know, realistically the only reason why brands put those pride flags up is because they now see Pride as a marketing event.
Of course, yeah.
And actually, okay, maybe it is, maybe you have this huge reach, but actually this is our lived experience and this has to be us driving the narrative. And like, if, you know, brands like H&M want to be involved, then like be involved with the actual communities who are trying to lead the way and support them to do that. And that's one thing that we've really been lucky with our sponsors, is that we've kind of said like, we're in the driving seat, we are making what we want to say, but by you supporting us and then us supporting our artists, we can actually do that. And of course there is a place in Pride for partying, there is a place in Pride for the naked white gays on the boat, there is a place for that, but actually more so than ever now, it's highlighting what is missing, and things like this and what you're doing, that is what is missing, is saying that actually we're here in more than one way, we're multifaceted, we can do all of these different things. And actually even now behind us there's all of these people coming and looking at our space, whether they are queer or not, like that type of visibility is a whole new type of visibility that we have to do. And I think it is really important to do that with Pride as well, because we can't just completely abandon something that also is really important. It's about making that change.
But I think I heard some Dina Bos, she's a trans person, and she was saying it's a moment in time that we have to look around and see who we're missing. Not seeing ourselves yo-yo partying, but who's, like, this is of course funny with the colors, but who are we missing? And I think this was this is so resonating in my head, like, okay, we have to really think who we are missing, who is missing out, and give them the floor.
I guess that's what brings us to the question for you, what does your queer utopia look like?
Sorry?
What does your queer utopia look like?
Yeah, that's a really difficult one, because of course you can go into a fairy tale situation, and because I'm working with so many people who are in a real situation, like refugees, people like confronting being trans, so I have all these real life stories around me. I cannot really go into this fairy tale utopia, but I think that what happened last year, starting with the Black Lives Matters, it really changed not only this, but on a much bigger level, how people think about the other, and how they are much more aware that there is another, and who are you missing on the table, who is not on the table. My utopia begins hoping that we can reach a little bit more than the Amsterdam bubble we're living in, which I'm totally aware that we have these discussions, but are they also in Diemen? I don't think so. So my utopia will be that it spreads over the world, and not only on New York, Paris, London, Amsterdam, but that it goes like beyond. and that this person that's like super insecure, being 12-year-old, being in the fucking middle of nowhere, finds a way to sort of accept what's happening, or at least that it's spread out, that you have to listen, that you have to look at the other, that you don't have to sort of come with direct solutions, but like really walk around the problem or the situation and respect this. And, that's my utopia. My utopia would also be that finally people realize that we in the community, not they're outside, but within the community, are together, and together we have one goal, and that's missing. So that's really missing. Like being aware, everybody being aware that if we work together, you don't have to. You can be whoever you want to be, but if we work together to this final goal, we have a power. As long as we fight each other, there's no power. The rest of the world is standing around us and saying, "Oh, you fight each other, and we go on with our own lives." Which is, I think, this would also be my hope for the future. I don't know if you can call it a utopia, but a hope for the future that slowly, we start within the community accepting each other. Because if you don't accept each other, nobody will accept you. Well, that's it.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for doing this today.
We want to thank you for talking to us. We think that what Queer Currents is doing is really, really massively important.
Thank you.
Not only Amsterdam, but really an example for, I think, other big cities around the world. So it's our privilege.
Yeah, and then you're actually totally a Queer Current initiative. Not that I'm claiming it, but I love what you're doing.
You can claim it.
No, but it's so important that more and more people start doing other things and constantly addressing. And I think that's also one of the things I didn't say, but what I see is in a Queer Current event, the function of art and culture is that it opens up. So people come into this place, they look at the work, and art opens people up. So then suddenly you can have a debate and people open up and start talking about the subject, instead of going into a space and just, okay, this is the topic, let's talk about it. Art makes it open. And that's also why your exhibition is super important to, oh wow, yeah, really, like these kind of things happen.